You know, when you look at Italy in 2026, it's like you're seeing two completely different countries at the exact same time. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack that contradiction. A nation that's putting on a huge show for the world while facing a potential crisis behind the curtain.
I mean, think about it. From the snowy peaks of the Dolomites all the way down to the ancient streets of Rome, the world's eyes are going to be glued to Italy. It's a year packed with massive international events, huge cultural celebrations, really a chance for the nation to show off what it can do on a grand scale.
But here's where it gets complicated. Right under the surface of all that glitz and glamour, there's a totally different story playing out. The Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, has given her own staff a pretty blunt warning, saying the year ahead is going to be much worse than the last one. And that sets up this incredible conflict. Two opposite narratives about Italy happening at the very same time.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What is the real story of Italy in 2026? Is it a year of triumph or a year of trouble? Is it a showcase of strength or is it a desperate struggle just to stay stable? Let's break it down. Okay, so let's dive into our first major theme here, spectacle versus struggle. This is all about that dazzling image Italy is projecting to the world versus the cold, hard economic numbers on its own national balance sheet. And wow, on the one hand, the spectacle is just undeniable. You've got the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics, which is going to draw everybody's attention. The city of L'Aquila is being celebrated as the Italian capital of culture, and Rome is all polished up with new infrastructure after the 2025 Jubilee. It paints a picture of a really dynamic, modern country. And the sheer scale of this ambition is just staggering. I mean, these are not your typical Olympics all packed into one city. No way. They're spread out over a massive 22,000 square kilometers in northern Italy. It is a huge logistical challenge designed to show off the entire region. But an ambition like that always comes with a price tag. And here is that price tag laid bare. While the whole world is watching the ski jumps, economists are watching this number. A public debt that's projected to hit more than 137% of the country's entire economic output. That is one of the highest in Europe, and it puts an absolutely crushing weight on the government's finances.
And this chart really brings that struggle home. See, the economy is growing, but barely. We're talking less than 1%. At the same time, the government is walking this incredibly thin fiscal tightrope, trying to keep its budget deficit under a really strict target. There is just zero room for error. This tension between the image and the reality, well, it leads us to another big conflict.
So let's shift gears to this idea of legacy versus the future. This is all about the clash between Italy's deep, centuries-old identity and the super urgent, complex demands of the 21st century. It's the past versus the future, playing out right now. You want to understand Italy's love of legacy? Just look at their wine. Seriously, this isn't just about grapes. It's a perfect metaphor for a culture that puts immense value on deep-rooted rules, on tradition, and on this very strict, guaranteed hierarchy of quality. That DOCG label at the top, it's been around since 1980, and it's all about protecting the nation's most historic, most important wines. But, and this is so perfectly Italian, even inside this super rigid system, you get rebels. You get this forward-thinking spirit. This quote is about the super Tuscans. These were winemakers who basically looked at the rule book and threw it out the window. They bottled their wines outside the strict system so they could innovate and create something new and world-class. They chose excellence over tradition, a perfect symbol for the push toward the future.
And the roots of that legacy, oh man, they go so deep. This is Christian humanism, a core idea from the Italian Renaissance. It's all about blending ancient wisdom with faith. And it's what still shapes the Italian emphasis on the individual, on beauty, on a sense of higher purpose. This is the intellectual bedrock of the whole nation.
Now, take a deep breath and let's jump from Renaissance philosophy to this, BESS, Battery Energy Storage Systems. Talk about whiplash, right? This is the nuts and bolts, super technical reality of Italy's future. This isn't about philosophy. It's about grid capacity, project financing, and the enormous challenge of switching to renewable energy. And this slide just shows you how massive that challenge is. The ambition for the future is off the charts. I mean, look at that. Requests for 350 gigawatts of renewable projects are just sitting there pending. But the grid, the actual infrastructure, can only handle a tiny fraction of that. The future is literally stuck in a traffic jam. So,
Where does all this leave us? Well, all of these competing forces, the spectacle and the struggle, the legacy and the future, they are all coming to a head in 2026. And it's creating what could be a really defining moment for the entire nation.
There's this fantastic Italian phrase that just captures this moment perfectly. L'imbarazzo della scelta. It translates to the embarrassment of choice. It's that feeling when you have so many options in front of you that making a decision becomes uncomfortable, almost paralyzing. And that, right there, is Italy's dilemma in 2026.
And this table really lays out that choice clearly, doesn't it? On every single level, Italy is standing at a crossroads. Is its identity going to be defined by its incredible cultural heritage or by the urgent demands of the modern world? Is its glamorous image as a global host going to be undone by its fragile economy? And is the path forward going to follow the old traditional rules, or will it require a radical push for innovation? So, at the end of the day, Italy stands before this embarrassment of choices. Is it going to lean into its spectacular global moment, or get pulled down by its struggles at home? Will it honor its profound legacy, or will it break from tradition to build a new future? In 2026, the whole world is going to be watching to see which version of Italy decides to step forward.